Alright, so the first thing I'm noticing is that right off the bat, your starting position is super risky here. You are so close to their spawn. There's a door behind you. There's a door in front of you. Like, they could easily flank you. And maybe just because this is silver, this is a position that you're used to starting in and used to being around your team in. But you could not keep this position in even like gold, especially not like platinum, because you won't be able to climb. Okay. So throwing our damage orb into their spawn doesn't usually do much for us, because they're gonna be instantly healed or just not take any damage if they're too far back in their spawn. So if you're gonna do that, at least wait till you see someone so you can guarantee that you're gonna be getting ult charge. Second thing is, from there, it's kind of relevant to how everything started, but your positioning is still terrible. They made the right move to go like a Widow, a Hanzo, anything similar, because they can literally just sit and spawn and dominate your entire team. You guys don't have any kind of cover, you guys don't have anything like that. And so just in case you don't know, the most common places to start on Junkertown. Okay, so the most common place to start on Junkertown is somewhere within like this highlighted area. A lot of times you hold this bridge, this side over here, and that gives you plenty of room if you have your own sniper to let them work, if you have a bastion to let them work, whatever it is. It's also very common to start on this corner here because you have nice cover when you're fighting out in the open, kind of like here. It's very easy to duck behind that corner. And then it's super common, and this is where the majority of the first point fights take place, is within this area here. The reason why is because there's super good cover with the sides here. If the payload is here, it adds even more cover. The rooms are so easy to duck into, and they contain a mega and a mini, so they have lots of health packs for your team. Your healers can kind of stand up on the stairs here, and they can be safe. If you have snipers, they can play back here. If you have flankers, there's easy sides for them to take. And so this is the most common place to position. But all three of these are viable choices, especially depending on the team comp. So 1 is green, 2, should have made this a different color, 3. And all three of them can be very valid places, but where you guys are holding now is not a valid place. You guys have no cover. You guys have really long routes of retreat wherever it is that you choose to go to get into one of those positions that we were talking about that are super open and will get you picked off while you're running away. You guys don't have a health pack immediately available. Your enemy team has spawn available to them to heal themselves. And so where you guys are currently standing, or were currently standing, is really bad. You're in a little bit of an interesting position here because they were kind of almost spawn camping you, so it feels like you have to fight them. Maybe wouldn't have popped my ult there unless you're confident you can get the kills. Here, Moira only does 50 DPS actually, and that's the exact same amount of healing that Mercy does, 50 DPS per second. And so you need to go for the Mercy there, if anything. You can kill the Mercy pretty easily because they're only gonna have they only have 200 health, and so it's a very easy kill for you. Their healing isn't gonna be starting because you're gonna be constantly damaging them. And so what I would have actually done there is thrown a healing orb for myself and hard targeted the Mercy. Instead, you stayed on that sim the whole time, and that's not a kill you're gonna get because the healing and the damage is the same. One thing to kind of note is, like, you just threw a healing orb for that Mei that was going to fully heal her, right? And so is there any reason for you to throw your, or use your actual healing too? It's healing on a resource that's valuable, and if that resource runs out, I mean, that's on you, and you can't heal your allies then. So if a healing orb is going to fully heal your teammates, and they're not, like, in immediate danger, just let the healing orb do its job. Another important note, on Moira, against Junkrat tires, you can survive so easily if you can just see where it's coming from. So try not to back yourself up into a little corner. Try and be kind of out in the open where you're still, like, safe. Like, you don't want to get, like, picked off by a widow or something. And you can fade away from it as soon as it's about to blow. Junkrats who go for Moiras are usually pretty bad because it gives your team more time to destroy the tire. Okay. Think about this ult and ask yourself if you needed it at all. Your team was super up. So if you watch the kill feed here, there's D.Va. D.Va does get your McCree. But then there's Mercy, baby D.Va, Lucio. And so you had a enemy team has 3 or 2 left, and you guys have 4 or 5 you can see on your screen right now. And so you really didn't need to ult no matter what, because it's just not going to get very much value. You're not going to get the kills that you need. You're not going to need to really heal your teammates because there's only 2 people damaging them. Got to be really careful not to ult in fights that you have already won. Oh my god, I can't. So that whole fight there, the only time you lived for a long moment of time or for an extended period of time was when you were behind cover. And so I hope you kind of notice when you were behind that left cover, like, things were kind of going all right for you. You were kind of living. But then when you left that cover to go heal one of your allies, you instantly got melted and died. One thing that I always tell Moiras who are really struggling how to use their fade ability is I tell them to never fade in. Obviously you can fade when you're, like, leaving spawn or something, trying to get back to the fight faster, but in a team fight, never fade into your enemies and only fade out of them, because that means that you always have some sort of escape ability that is probably going to save you, and that means that you never fade into a dangerous situation where then you have used your only escape ability. Okay, so your team's kind of really spread out, and so what you're struggling with right now is you're struggling to get to one of your allies in time to heal them. And so the easiest way to fix this is to look at your team and say, do I have a decent main tank? So that's going to be like your Winston, your Reinhardt, someone like that. And if I don't have one, who is my hard carry? Who is doing the absolute best on this team? Because then what I do is I stay right around that person. If I have a main tank, which you do, I would probably just stay by my Winston, do my best to make sure that they're always healed up, that they can create the space that our DPS need, and you'll start doing better instantly, and you'll be able to heal them at all times because you're by them. If you don't have a main tank, then I would say maybe like your Reaper. Your Reaper's been doing really well, and so if you stay by him and make sure that he always has heals and make sure that he has the support to finish off, you know, like a Tracer. A Tracer can be an easy kill for a Moira because of your beam locking on, but it's not always an easy kill for a Reaper because sometimes they can just outrange that Reaper and teleport away. So if you were kind of pocketing your Reaper, he would be having a better time. So far, generally speaking, I only like to review losses because that means the enemy team isn't punishing you if you won, but actually the enemy team is punishing you. It's just your team overall is outplaying them. And so you so far gotta work on orb usage and fade usage and ult usage. So all three of our abilities are kind of holding us back. There's definitely some other positioning stuff that I've mentioned, definitely some other just kind of general knowledge stuff, healing stuff, but your ability usage is one of the #1 things holding you back right now, so that's what you'd want to focus on. On that same note, and I will pretty much always mention this, you have to hit tab more. In the game, in fights, you have to hit tab. It's not like an easy choice. It's because you need to know what your enemy is playing. If they switch from a Widow to a Sombra, or if they switch from a Reaper to a Hanzo, those are very different styles of play, and the things that you need to do to counter them, the positions that you can take, are so different. And so you need to make sure that you're hitting tab, taking a look at your enemy's team comp every once in a while. And that is one of the biggest things that will start helping you climb, because that means that you're doing good in like the knowledge battle. So right now you should be focused on nothing besides healing up your Bastion. I know you were trying to damage that Torb, trying to help finish off these kills. That Bastion is your hard carry on the payload right now, and as a healer, your job should be making sure he never dies. And this kind of goes back to the positioning we were just talking about, staying by your main tank and your carry. That Ryan and that Bastion are your main tank and your carry, so if you stay by them, you'll have a lot better time, and they'll have a better time too. Not a good ult, but it's the end of the game, so there's nothing really to focus on there. On attack, there was almost nothing that would have mattered to change, but on defense, there was definitely a lot that would have mattered to change. And so I hope that you heard some of that, are thinking about how to use your abilities. Like one very easy example is making sure that you're knowing which orb you need to throw. If you're throwing the damage orb, making sure that it's because you're getting poke early in a fight, or because you're charging your ult or something like that. And if you're throwing your healing orb, it's because your teammates need it. You need to get heals off, you need to charge your ult, and you need to, start thinking about where you're throwing those orbs. You gotta start throwing them, at corners, at walls where they'll bounce back, and it's super effective and actually leads to your team getting more net heals. And then on your fade, you need to make sure that you're not fading into dangerous positions and getting yourself killed. And then on your ult, you need to make sure that you're sitting back. Moira's ult has a lot of range and hitting your allies and your enemies. It is a support ult. It does damage, but it is a support ult. It's just like a Mercy when they go try and frag on their ult, how that generally isn't the best choice. That's similar to on a Moira. When you go try and frag on your ult, that generally isn't the best choice. Sometimes you guys can get like a really awesome kill, but most of the time you are not going to. And healing your team is going to be that awesome ult, and it's going to save your team. From there, make sure you're thinking about your positioning. That's the other thing. Abilities and positioning are what I would focus on right now. And then maybe once you start to master those, you can start worrying about team comms, about specific techs, about when it's more appropriate to finish off a kill versus to heal, things of that nature. But right now, if you focus on your abilities and your ult usage, you'll start climbing.